The final now with the men's 1500-meter freestyle. I can't help but notice that you look at these 8 swimmers. Samuel Pizzetti coming out, swimming for Italy out of lane 8. That unbelievably, there's not an Aussie in the final of this event that they so cherish.
It is pretty incredible.
Yosuke Miyamoto of Japan swims out of lane 2. It's a fairly young field. A couple of older swimmers, including one American. Great story, Paul Janssen from the Faroe Islands. Island group with less than 50,000 people, located halfway between the United Kingdom and Iceland. And here he is swimming in the World Championship. This is one of the guys to watch, Ryan Cochran. He was the bronze medalist in Beijing, the silver medal in Rome 2 years ago. He comes out of lane 2. 2 Americans in this final, Chad LaTourette. The Mission Viejo, California swimmer, comes out of lane 6, silver last summer in the Pan Packs. Meanwhile, veteran Peter Vanderkay comes out of lane 3. This is an event the United States has only won once in the history of the World Championships. That was Tim Shaw in 1975. Here go Kish from Hungary. He was in the semis of the Olympic Games in this. He'll be in lane 5. A bronze medal here in the 800 free. And here's of course, the local favorite and the fastest prelim swimmer. Second fastest time ever at this distance, Sun Young, 19-year-old. He was the bronze medalist in Rome 2 years ago, the gold medalist both in Beijing Olympics and the Rome Worlds. Os Maluli, another notable swimmer that did not qualify earlier today for this final.
Os has had some shoulder troubles. As you see Peter Vanderkay, boy, he just swims it all, doesn't he? Swam the 400, 800, 1500 here. Been such a mainstay here for the United States, always on their 800 free relay, seems like. That one gold here with Phelps and company, Lochte. Now he's here in the 1500. Might be a little long for him, but he swam a great prelim. 14:54, that's getting after it in the first time you swim it.
He is, Peter's easily the oldest swimmer of these 8, at 27. Sun Yang at 19, the youngest. And we mentioned he had a time last November that was the second fastest ever, only to Grant Hackett's now 10-year world record.
And this crowd is packed into here. I mean, I'm looking across the pool. See across the pool, Ted? Everybody else is standing behind everybody sitting. It's standing room here only here in China. He has become a big-time hero here in this country. And
there was some here in Shanghai, Rowdy. We've heard a lot of chatter the last couple of days, and it's just chatter, but they're talking about world record possibility.
He could flirt with it. I mean, he certainly did last year. 14:35, he was 9/10 of a second. That's after 14.5 minutes. He was 9/10 off. So, yeah, he could flirt with it. We're definitely going to keep an eye on that, especially early on. Now, the guy's world record that he's trying to break happens to be, in my opinion, the greatest distance swimmer in history. So, it's not going to be easy, but Grant Hackett won 4 world championships in a row. A couple Olympic gold medals to go along with that. So yeah, it's going to be very tough to do, but if anybody can do it, and if anybody's been coming on to do it, it's Sun Young.
Now they're the expected top 2. They were Cochran, of course, won a medal in Beijing. Cochran and Sun both medal in Rome, and they're 1-2 after the first 100.
You mentioned Tim Shaw. I have to go back to him for a second. The only American ever to win a world championship in this distance. Back in '75, he was the Sullivan Award winner that year. He won the 200, 400, and the 15. They didn't have 800 back then. Won the 2, 4, and 15 back then, and just incredible performance by that American.
And right now, Cochran and Sun out leading the field. Pal Janssen, at the bottom of your picture, you see him in 3rd.
Well, Cochran was out a little bit slower in the prelims. At the 400, which is sort of a gauge that you want to try to keep an eye on. That's halfway now to the 400 mark. He's about 3:55.
All right, so 200 down in this 1500. Andrea Kramer is watching this race with none other than Michael Phelps' coach, Bob Bowman. Andrea?
Thanks very much, Ted. You told me Michael had 6 months of good training, but you weren't sure if that was going to be enough. You weren't sure how he was going to swim. How do you assess his performance here?
I think overall we're very pleased with how he swam here. He was competitive in every race. Had a couple close finishes where he got second, but the times were very good, including his IM, where he was faster than his time in Beijing, which I thought was very good considering the circumstances.
Can you catch up in training to try and beat Ryan Lochte, who himself is going to continue training very hard?
I think Michael's got plenty of time to get to a new level of performance with the training time we have. We don't really try to focus on other people or, set goals according to that, but I think Michael will be at his best in London.
He's looked invincible in the past, especially in Worlds prior to the Olympics, and that sends a message to competitors. What statement is made now to set the stage for London?
Well, I think a lot of people doubted Michael coming into this meet, whether he would be competitive at all, and I think he's shown that he's going to be in the mix in every event, and there's just a lot of upside, so I feel good about it.
What are the realistic expectations for London?
I think the realistic expectations are that Michael will be competitive in every event in terms of being at his top fitness level, top competitive edge, and then we'll see how the medals work out.
Bob, thanks very much. And Ted, Michael, and Bob resume their training on August 8th.
All right, Andrew. Well, Bob Bowman, I thought said that very well. Individual events here, 2 gold and 2 silver for Phelps, gold and bronze in a relay with another still to come.
August 8th, that's pretty quick. That's just around the corner.
That's a week off.
He took us 6 months off after Rome, so.
So after 400, Sun Young has the lead, but the world record pace right now appears fairly safe. Chad Tourette is having a good start. After 400, he is in 4th. Peter Vanderkay is in 7th.
Yeah, just a point of reference. If you look at Sun Young's stroke, see that? It's almost like he's doing a catch-up stroke. He is incredible distance per stroke, and I talk a lot about that here at these World Championships because those are 3 incredibly important words. But that point of reference, he's taking 27 strokes, give or take a stroke, per 50. Cochran above him, who's sort of a grinder, he gets out there, reminds me of David Davies, who won bronze in 04 for Great Britain, just kind of gets after it real quick, much faster turnover, 34 strokes per 50. So he's taking 7 more strokes per 50.
All right, so Sun Young has the lead. Chad Tourette of the United States is 4th, 500 meters in to the men's 1500 in Shanghai. Halfway mark of the men's 1500 meter in Shanghai. And Sun Young continuing to hold a lead fairly steady over Canada's Ryan Cochran. Those are the 2 you see there. Pal Janssen of the Faroe Islands. And that would be a remarkable story if he can hang on. He is 3rd. Chad Tourette of the United States continues to swim in 4th. Peter Vanderkay of the U.S. in 6th.
Sun Young now taking that consistent 27 strokes per 50, and Cochran's now up to 37 strokes. Boy, Sun Young has had an incredibly busy week. You talk about Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte, and he has swam 2 400s, 2 800s, and now 2 1500s. To throw in a relay, he's at 5,600 meters for the week.
And Sun was a silver medalist in the 400, gold in the 800, and was part of a bronze medal relay team here.
Boy, he's so consistent on that stroke count, 27 strokes every 50 that we've been counting. 58.7, 58.5. That last 100 was 58.6. So, I mean, he's just, and he makes it look so easy. He gets way over on his side. See those hips? They come all the way over to the side. He's really stretching out. Every once in a while, he'll breathe to the left. He's more of a right side breather, but every once in a while, he'll go left just to keep an eye on Cochran.
Rowdy, I think that's a great point, is that you referenced the number of strokes, but Sun just looks like he's gliding along the top of the water.
Yeah.
And other swimmers, and we were noticing even Tourette, who's having a good swim right now for the United States, and it looks much more of an effort for him.
You're so right, Ted. And look at the kick. He hasn't even begun to put his kick in. He's just dragging his legs a little bit. And that was what made Grant Hackett such a spectacular swimmer, because he basically 6-beat kicked the entire race. And Sun Ying is really not, young Sun Sun Young, pardon me, is not doing that. He's actually into a little bit of a 2B kick. He's just dragging his legs. Cochran's grinding away over there, still keeping it close, but he's got his kick in it.
There's Sun continuing to lead. La Tourette has now been slightly passed. They're both catching up, both he and Jurgo Kish, on third place swimmer Janssen.
Well, this is 1,000. He's still 3 seconds plus over that world record. Now, he can make that up. He certainly can make that up. The way he came home the last 300 in the prelims, he was 2:54 the last 300 in the prelims. That's very fast. That's about 3 seconds faster than anybody else in this field. So he can turn it on at a dime. But he's going to have to start thinking about doing it pretty soon if he's going to have a chance to break that world record. And the crowd's starting to push him along here.
And right now, what was looming in the first 500, Rowdy, like it might be a race, is not a race. He has pulled out over 4 seconds now on Cochran.
Yeah, this is all Sun Young. Nobody's going to challenge him, not at this point in the race. Cochran's in a solid race for second. But now it's starting to shape up to be a pretty good race for the bronze medal. Janssen is really kind of fallen back just a touch here. Chad La Tourette and George Kiss is now starting to move up, and 58.6 again for Sun Young. Gosh.
Right now, Kish is fourth, La Tourette fifth. They're within 3 seconds of Janssen. Swims in third. Peter Vanderkay, a more distant sixth.
Kish also had a great last 300 or 400, so you know he's going to be moving up quickly. La Tourette just needs to kind of do what he has to do to ride the hip. You see him going by right now with that dark cap just on the other side of that yellow lane line. La Tourette is trying to catch as much of a draft as possible. Once again, let's go back to the world record again. 58.6 there again. So he has been within 0.2 of a second for, what, 5 straight 100s. He's been between 58.6 and 58.7. So it's just pretty amazing what he's doing. 11.42. Now he's dipped a little bit closer. Dipping a little. He was over 3. You might remember just a couple hundred meters ago. Now he's only 2 seconds. 58.5 on that one. Another point of reference, the world record's 14.34. He's been 35. The next closest is Usmanuli when he won the world championship a couple years ago. That was 14.37 during the suit era, by the way. And the next 2 times come from Us in that suit era. So I think Sun Young has a great shot to be at least the 3rd fastest swim in history. And this is going to be a huge sign right here. What he turns here at this mark with just 200 meters left to go.
La Tourette has fallen a bit off now. Jurgo Kish is within a half a second of catching Janssen for 3rd. There you see Grant Hackett's 10-year-old world record line.
Yeah, he hasn't moved up on it that much, and that line is still way ahead. And with only 200 meters, that red line is Grant Hackett.
And understand that, as you said, Rowdy, you made reference, I mean, 43 world records fell 2 years ago in Rome. And Grant Hackett's one of the few. I mean, that's 10 years old.
It is a pretty incredible record when you think about it. And like I said, it's Grant Hackett. I just can't help thinking that it's going to be very tough to get through this. But, boy, what a beautiful race. And remember, he's 19 years old.
Well, no secret that there was an expectation that swimming in their home country before an enthusiastic crowd would spur them on to greater achievements. China only won 1 gold in swimming in Beijing, and Sun Young is pretty much a lock here to bring home their 5th gold here in Shanghai.
I think that's a great point because, yeah, there's some other Chinese swimmers, but I think at this point he is definitely the most popular presently. And that's a huge weight that you have to pull on your shoulders. You're pulling along the whole country right here, over 1,500 meters.
And remember that last week here in Shanghai, China swept all 10 gold medals in the diving part of the World Aquatics Championships. And they're building and swimming as Sun Young
look at Kish
is dominating. And Ryan Cochran is a very good swimmer.
He's a very good swimmer. Kish also, you see him just go by. He took off and clearly is in an easy spot for the bronze now.
Kish of Hungary is third, Janssen fourth, La Tourette is still fifth, but too far back to threaten. And look at Sun Young chasing the world record line.
He may get it!
This is unbelievable, what a
He may
finish!
get it!
He did a world record! A world record! After 14 and a half minutes, he had something left. He fired off some final rockets. An incredible finish to break a 10-year world record held by one of the greatest to ever swim.
He did it! He did it at the end! I don't believe it!
He did it by 42/100ths of a second. And the second world record to fall this week in Shanghai.
Look at this finish. It's unbelievable. Think about it, Ted. 54.2 was what he came home in the last 100. 54.2. That's normally the world record holder coming home in a 200 freestyle.
Well, China not only wins its fifth gold of this week, but these fans honor a world record performance. Ryan Lochte was right. He said earlier this week that he felt like he broke the ice, that it proved world records could still be broken. Sun Yan does it in the 1500 free. Still to come.